Coming up on Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen.
So you get in the car and you're driving, and they, you know how women are, they do this one. And you know they're looking, but you don't want to look. You're just kind of like, and you feel the head, you feel the eyes. From the very beginning, God created us to have close relationships with other people. But more than any other relationship, marriage has the ability to meet our need for intimacy. So often, we believe that intimacy only happens by chance or naturally. But in reality, it comes when we can safely share our thoughts and feelings with each other. Whether you and your spouse lack closeness, or if you want to take it to the next level, intimacy can return in a matter of days, and closeness and satisfaction can happen in your marriage like you never thought possible. If we're going to experience intimacy in marriage, it means there has to be value. I've got to value you, number one, in real ways. There has to be energy that I'm going to pursue it energetically. There has to be sacrifice. I have to be willing to give something up and come out of my world and to crucify the selfish spirit that is in all of us. And there has to be trust. I have to be willing to establish a track record of responsibility with your life. And when I make a mistake, I've got to take responsibility for it and make it right. So I'm going to use an acronym of intimacy, and I'm going to use an acronym, and here's my acronym. It's INVEST. This session is called Investing in Intimacy. Intimacy necessitates value, energy, sacrifice, and trust. That's the word invest. And we're going to use this word invest in 4 different areas. Now, in Matthew 22, a young man came to Jesus and he asked him this question: what is the most important commandment? And Jesus said, here's the most important commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. He identified 4 different areas that we're supposed to love God and pursue God. Here are the 4 different areas I want to talk about where intimacy is expressed in marriage: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. That's what we're going to talk about. See, when you talk about intimacy, again, we have the tendency to go to the physical realm and we think to ourselves, intimacy means sex. Intimacy means, being romantic and being sexual and things like that. Well, that's a part of it. But it means so much more than that. So we're going to use our acronym, and we're going to go, first of all, into mental intimacy, talking about being intimate in our minds. Remember, when the Bible talks about they were naked without shame, it meant they could express any thought in their mind without the fear of expressing that thought. And this is a big deal in marriage now. When Karen and I got married, we had a lot of things that we couldn't talk about money. We couldn't talk about sex. We couldn't talk about many things because they became so toxic in our marriage. When you have an intimate marriage, it means I can share thoughts and there's not a fear of sharing a thought around you. Mental intimacy, the ability to share thoughts on a deep level and to successfully find a point of agreement on essential issues. The ability to share thoughts on a deep level and to successfully find a point of agreement. That's what mental intimacy is. So let's go through our acronym. If we're going to have mental intimacy, it means, first of all, that I value your thoughts. I value what you're thinking. Now, I counseled a man. This man worked for a church. And I counseled a man one time. He and his wife had no sexual relationship, horrible marriage, horrible problems, and he was confiding in me about how goofy his wife was. Now, that was his word. And he used the word goofy, I bet, 50 times. And what he said was, and they had children, and in front of their children, every time his wife, or many of the times that his wife would express herself, he would roll his eyes and just say, "You're goofy." And he was telling me about their horrible marriage and their conflict and everything that they had been going through. And what I said to him is, you do realize that I agree with everything she's saying. What you're telling me she's saying to you, she's a normal, healthy woman. And every time she's expressing her thoughts and her feelings to you, rather than validating and valuing what she's saying, you roll your eyes and you call her names that you're goofy. No wonder she don't want to have sex with you. No wonder she doesn't want to be intimate with you. You're devaluing everything that she has to say. Now listen, this guy, I mean, he was a bad one. But listen, he and his wife now do marriage counseling. He went home that night. He went home and he repented to his wife. And he said, I've talked to Jimmy Evans and I told him what I've been doing, and he's on your side. But she likes me. Let me say that right now. The sister likes me. But he said to her, I repent to you for rolling my eyes at you and for shaming you and devaluing everything you had to say. And I promise you from this point forward, when you express your thoughts to me, I will value your thoughts. It healed their marriage. And they now counsel other people in marriage. And I'm sure it wasn't their only issue. She was a normal woman. And he was devaluing what she was saying. I'll value your thoughts. Listen, E, this is the energy part. Okay? I'll value your thoughts. E, I will work hard to listen and understand what you're saying. I will work hard. Well, why do you say that? Because we're different in so many areas. But when Karen and I make decisions together, we make better decisions. Because now when she's talking, I realize I've got to really work at listening to her because she's expressing part of her heart, and we will be safer as a family if I listen to her. You've got to work at listening. You're better if you're married to somebody different. Related to our needs, men have the need, number 1, for honor is a man's most important need. Number 2 is sex. Number 3 is being friends with his wife, budding around with his wife. He wants to be, it's called just friendship and kindred fellowship. And the 4th is domestic support. He wants his wife to be domestic, even if she works outside the home, that she's domestically centered. Women have the need for security, number 1. They want to be secure. They want their husband to be tuned in and sacrificial. Number 2, open and honest communication. They want you to cough it up. They don't want the headlines. They want the details. They need non-sexual touching and affection. Non-sexual touching and affection. Men can't understand that. It's not of God. How can non-sexual touching be of God? So, that's right. And leadership. And leadership. So, when she's talking out of her world. And her world is a different world. When he's talking out of his world. And they're both valid worlds. But what we have the tendency to do is to roll our eyes, shame each other, reject each other, and try to train each other. No, you need sexual touching. No, you just need to be held. No, what we need is to understand we both live in different worlds, and the only way we're going to be intimate is to enter each other's world. I understand. That's your need. I can't shame you out of it. I can't train you out of it. That's God created. And we are different by God's design. So if we're going to have mental intimacy and be able to talk, it means I value what you're saying. Hey, number 2, I'm going to really work hard at coming out of my world, and while you're talking, understanding you're expressing valid concerns, even though they're different. Number 3, I will sacrifice my need to be right and to be judgmental. Some people, there's the old saying, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Some people would rather be right because they will not sacrifice their need to be right. Sometimes, when you just absolutely know you're right and your spouse says something, for a happy marriage, you just need to say, amen. All righty. I guess we solved that one. And then go behind closed doors and kick the dog. Then later, I get letters from pet people, don't kick your dog, but get you a wooden dog that you can go kick. But you got to practice at times. I'm not talking about something that's very, very important, but I'm saying sometimes you just have to sacrifice the need to be right and for everything to agree with the way you think before it's right. Listen, one of the things I've learned about my wife over the years is how incredibly wise she is. And, I have the tendency to think on a certain track, and I just think sometimes in very objective terms, in black and white and right and wrong, and all those things. And Karen will say something, and sometimes it takes a few days or a few weeks, or sometimes it takes a few years. And I wake up one day and I think, she's right. But, it's not like radar. It's like sonar. It kind of hits you, in a different way. And I've just learned if I work at listening to her and I sacrifice my need to be right all the time, life is so much better. T, the trust. I will create a consistent, caring atmosphere in my life where you are free and safe to share any thought. I will not shame you. I will not devalue you. I will not make fun of you. I will not roll my eyes at you. I will not ignore you. Now, you may be telling me that you don't like me. You may be telling me that you're unhappy. You may be telling me whatever. I'm just saying, I'm your safe place. Your friends are not your safe place. Now, Karen's friends, when we first got married, because I was such an unsafe place, Karen didn't share with me. She shared with other people because she couldn't share with me. I was not safe. In counseling, when we get people in counseling and they really have a lot of marriage issues, they'll say things to us and we'll say, have you said that to your spouse? And they will say, I could never say that to them. They would go ballistic. In other words, they won't let me share. Intimacy means I can share. It may be, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's in my head. And so mental intimacy necessitates value, energy, sacrifice, trust. Okay, number 2 area of intimacy is emotional intimacy. We talked about mental intimacy. Here's emotional intimacy. The ability to openly and safely express our emotions in an atmosphere of sensitivity, care, and emotional support. I'm not talking about my thoughts now, I'm talking about my feelings. Is that I want to come and be able to share how I'm feeling with you and to know that it's going to be valued and that you care about how I feel. So again, let's use our acronym. Intimacy, emotional intimacy necessitates number 1 value. I care about how you feel. I care, even if I don't understand it, even if I'm not experiencing it. Because with Karen and me, when Karen tells me how she feels, 99.999% of the time, I don't feel the same way. She feels that way for whatever reason. Now, sometimes I do. But I'm saying many times she's feeling something and she wants to share it. Many times when I share, she doesn't share. But we value it because it's your feelings. Listen, I don't value it because I feel it. I value it because I value you. I may not have the feeling, but I value it because it's your feeling. And even if it's a negative feeling, I value it. It's important in our marriage that you're able to share this feeling. Let me tell you the 5 reasons that couples fight. If you're taking notes, this is worth writing down. Here are the 5 main reasons why couples fight. Number 1 is work stress. I'm stressed out. I don't feel like you're chipping in. I don't feel like you're being sensitive to what I'm going through. Number 2 is money. That's not a big surprise. I don't feel like you're being a partner. I feel like you're not working together for the same goal. Number 3 is children. Number 4 is sex. And number 5 is housework. Work stress, money, children, sex, and housework. But here's the real reason that people fight. You don't care about how I feel. I'm trying to tell you I'm stressed out. I'm trying to tell you how I feel about your spending. I'm trying to tell you about how I feel about you, the children, and you not chipping in with the kids and the housework and things like that. I'm trying to tell you about my sexual needs, and you don't care about how I feel. You're not validating and valuing the way that I feel, and that is the problem. Let me go to maybe a more graphic example of this, and it's the issue of driving. Now, since the time that Karen and I, when Karen and I first met, I was a good driver. I faked being a good driver so that she would like me. And as soon as I knew that I had secured her, I drove normal, and which she hated. And she just, and Karen is the type that she grabs the dash, she yells, she's very emotive. She doesn't hide the fact that she's stressed out. So, and when I was younger, and I'm sure my testosterone level was much higher back then, but when I was younger, I was on the edge all the time. I was driving fast, I was driving dangerous, and to me it was like, I'm a gifted driver. I've got awesome hand-eye coordination. And doesn't matter how close I am, doesn't matter how fast I'm driving, I can get out of it just like that because I'm beyond normal. And so you, sister, can relax and just enjoy the ride because you're with Mr. Wonderful. And she didn't see it that way. So Karen would get in the car and, it was always, first of all the sounds and all that kind of stuff. But then, like we would go on a trip but we'd be going like on this romantic trip, and Karen would give me this little lecture. Maybe you've had this lecture before. But we'd be going on this like a little romantic getaway, and she would have this lecture in the driveway. First of all, we needed to pray. She said, we want to pray, because she wanted me to know that Jesus was there. And then she would say, I'll be a lot more relaxed if you drive slow. Now, every woman here knows the interpretation of that. You want good sex, buddy? You better drive slow. So, we drove 100 miles, and it took me 2 days to get there. But it was great. So you get in the car and you're driving, and they, how women are. They do this one. And they're looking, but you don't want to look. You're just kind of like, and you feel the head. You feel the eyes. But here's the point. When I slowed down and when I began to care about this person, she's in the car. She's a fellow passenger. She has the right. Whatever happens to that car is going to happen to her. But I didn't care. And let me say this. That's the way it is in life a long time. We are integrally connected in our lives, and whatever happens to me happens to her. There's no such thing as private sin. There's no such thing as a private life when you're married. Everything that happens to me is going to happen to you too. We have a need to say something and a right to say something, and we need to be heard. And when we don't listen and don't value the other person, it has a chilling effect on intimacy. It really does. I value the way that you feel. I'm going to work hard to be sensitive to you and to your emotional needs. I'm going to work hard. Well, let me go back to the needs of a man and the needs of a woman. There are needs that men and women have, but let me tell you the number one need that men have, and it's the need for honor. Honor is the defining need. It is the doorway into a man's emotions. When you want to know how a man feels about anything, you have to start with his ego. Because that's just the way that God made us. It's just the way that it is. But for a woman, it's security. A woman wants to feel that you're connected and that you care. That is the doorway into her emotions. I'm connected and I care about you. And so when I'm working to understand the way that you feel, understand this, your husband is always going to originate whatever he feels from the perspective of, am I a good man and do you believe in me? Do you believe in me? Do you think that I'm successful? Do you think that I'm okay? Or do you think that I'm a louse? And everything that he feels, if you're going to work to understand his feelings, you have to understand that's the way he is and nothing can change him. But when you don't respect that, you're going to constantly violate your husband. For your wife, she has to know that she's more important than anything else, and that to your hurt, you will meet her needs first, even before your own. I'm plugged in. I'm connected. Your wife is in everything. All of her feelings are connected to this issue of security. Do you care about me? Am I on your heart? Am I first in your life? Do you care about the kids? Are you going to be a faithful money manager? Are you going to be a faithful provider? Are you going to be faithful to me? Tell me that my world is safe because you care. But he's coming from the perspective of, tell me that I'm a good man. Tell me that you believe about me. To heck with security. We don't need security like women need security. But I need to know that I'm a good man. I'll charge hell with a water pistol if I know I'm okay. I don't need that security like you need it. But if I feel like I'm a bad man, that matters. And so I'm going to work hard at understanding your emotions, knowing that you're coming from a different world that I'm coming from, that you have different emotional needs and inclinations than I have. Number 3, sacrifice. I sacrifice the need for you to feel the way that I feel for your needs to be valid, for your emotions to be valid. I sacrifice. You don't have to feel like me. I'm going to sacrifice that. A lot of what I did early in our marriage when Karen would say things about how she felt that I just thought were, weird. And she was being a normal woman. But I thought it was weird because it wasn't like me. I would roll my eyes. I would say devaluing things. I even said things like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it wasn't crazy. It was the way she felt. So you have to sacrifice your need to say, it's not right until it's just like me. Trust. I will build an atmosphere where you are safe to share any feeling and know that you're supported. I'm not saying that your feelings are right. I'm not saying that when you share it, I'm going to sit here and say, oh, that's a right feeling. I'm saying it's important because it's your feeling and you're safe to share. Well, I hope you enjoyed that teaching. You know, intimacy is the prize of marriage. It's like, you know, Rocky dancing on top of the steps, you know, when he's, you know, ready to fight and he's done everything to prepare himself. When you're intimate in marriage, you're dancing on top of the steps. That's what God designed marriage to be, is intimate, close on the inside, both mentally and emotionally, like we were talking today. Now, this Return to Intimacy seminar, you saw just a little bit of it today, but this is a 5-part seminar to talk to you about dealing with fear, about dealing with destructive fear in your marriage, destructive anger in your marriage, the issue of dominance, but also, more importantly than anything else, the issue of intimacy, like you saw today. This is a 5-part seminar, and right now, for your gift of any amount to help us, to support us here at Marriage Today, to keep coming back to you, but also to send us out to couples all across America and around the world. For your gift of any amount, we want to send you the 5-part CD series. And this is an unusual thing. Many times we send a book for your gift of any amount. Right now, as you give to support us, your gift of any amount, we're going to send you the entire seminar, Return to Intimacy, on CD. Right now, for your gift of $90 or more, we want to send you the DVD series, the video series, the 5-part series, along with our one devotional book. Our one devotional book is a great resource. You'll see it there on your screen here in just a minute. But it's a book that you can sit down weekly or daily or monthly, whenever you want to, and have devotions as a couple that really brings you closer and helps you just to have the marriage of your dreams the way that God wants you to have. Thank you so much for your support. Karen, I want to thank you for supporting this ministry. And as you do, we want to send you the CD series, the DVD series, the one devotional book. Here's how you can get them.
Regardless of your past, you can return to intimacy. In this power-packed teaching series, Jimmy Evans shares the 4 elements of intimacy, how to resolve conflict, the most common issues that destroy marriages, and the secret to restoring and staying in love.
Intimacy means on the inside we're close. It also means complete mutual awareness. It means I know you.
For your gift of any amount, we'll send you the entire 5-part Return to Intimacy series on CD. For your gift of $90 or more, we'll send you the 5-part series on DVD plus the one devotional book, a 52-week couples devotion guide. Embark on a journey that will dramatically increase the intimacy in your relationship like you've never experienced. Whatever your situation, you can return to intimacy.
You know, I think it is so helpful to understand the issue of intimacy. I think a lot of us hear that word, you know, of being intimate. A lot of times we think about sex or we think whatever we think. And when I started studying on this, you know, for the purpose of the seminar and this program today, and I really began to look at what intimacy was. You know, it means inner closeness. It doesn't just mean sex, and sex can be an expression of intimacy, like I said today, but it doesn't mean that it's intimate. A lot of people have sex, but they don't have any intimacy at all. Intimacy happens when you're able to share on the deepest level your thoughts and your feelings. That's what we were talking about today, is that you're able to open up and to trust each other, value the other person's thoughts and feelings, and put energy at working at it and sacrifice and to create an atmosphere of trust. And what Karen and I have noticed over the years, when we got married, we had very little intimacy because, you know, we hurt each other so much. We didn't understand these kinds of issues, and we were trying to change each other and, you know, all those kinds of things. But over the years, as we've learned the acronym INVEST, and we've learned that intimacy necessitates value, energy, sacrifice, and trust, and you apply it then to the mental and emotional levels. Karen and I don't have a perfect marriage, but I tell you, we have a wonderful marriage. And we're able to talk, and we're able to share emotions. There were so many issues years ago in our marriage we couldn't talk about. I mean, they were radioactive issues that when we talked about them, I mean, we were going to have a fight for sure. Today, we don't have one of those issues in our relationship. It's not because we're special or we're smarter than other people. It's because this works. Whenever you begin to express value, energy, sacrifice, and trust, and you work at that mentally and emotionally, I'm telling you, the barriers come down. You begin to communicate, you begin to understand each other, and you create this atmosphere of trust that is essential for intimacy to exist. And I just want to encourage you, you may be right now where you don't have any intimacy in your marriage, that you're fighting like cats and dogs. It's the way we were. We were on the brink of divorce. Don't write yourself off. Don't believe that there's no hope for you. When you begin to change, even if your spouse doesn't change, you begin to change. You begin to do the right thing. And as you begin to do that, I promise you, it'll make a difference in your relationship. You can succeed in marriage, and you can have intimacy like you've only dreamed of. And this is the way you can do it. Now, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. And we're able to come to you because of a very special group of people that support us monthly. They're called our Rock Solid Partners. And our Rock Solid Partners, there are several different levels that you can give at and be a Rock Solid Partner. And every month, because of your monthly support, we want to send you a special resource that we produce only for our Rock Solid Partners. It's called our Dream Marriage Library. It's the best of our materials. It's the best of our marriage teachings, of my teachings and sermons that you get along with study notes to help you to build the marriage of your dreams. I want you to become a Rock Solid Partner, and here's how you can do it.
Everywhere you look, marriages and families are under attack. What God intended as a fundamental blessing to society has been reduced to a coin flip, with 50% of marriages ending in divorce. Children are being raised in broken homes. Young men and women are questioning the value and purpose of marriage. These are our neighbors, our friends, our family. We are all affected by this stark reality. But it doesn't have to be this way. God did not create marriage to fail. And regardless of how dark, how difficult it may seem, with the right teaching, the right training, the right commitment, every marriage has a 100% chance of success. Marriage Today is committed to sharing this message of hope with men and women around the world, providing a wealth of biblically based resources through seminars, CD and DVD series, television broadcasts, and much more. Join us by becoming a Rock Solid Partner today. Together, we can help shape the future of marriage in America and across the globe. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. For $14, $28, or $56 per month, you can get the tools you need to succeed in marriage, including online access to the Dream Marriage Library, CD and DVD lessons shipped to your door, and exclusive partner perks. And if you become a Rock Solid Partner at the $28 or $56 per month level, you'll receive the Every Great Marriage video series and the Mountaintop of Marriage as our special gifts. Join us as we work to rebuild the foundation of family. Become a Rock Solid Partner today.
Thank you for watching Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen. Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series Return to Intimacy. And don't forget, become a Rock Solid Partner and receive the Dream Marriage Library. There's a Rock Solid Partner level to fit every need.
This program is made possible by the generous support of our faithful partners.